Hello, I'm Josh.
I'm Josh.
And I'm not Josh, but together we are
Joshing around in Air.
Cool. This pod, we will chat about the things we're looking forward to in Conquest this year. So we got the Conquest 5th anniversary product catalogue. That's January to May 2024. I think, there's some cool things to look forward to. Some cool new regiments coming out. I know there's things like the big tournaments they're going to be having for the worlds, stuff like that, and of course the Sorcerer Kings that are coming out. So I feel like this whole Project 8 thing has been going for so long, and they're finally actually bringing the army out, and it's like just shows you how long it takes to like go from a concept of an army to like being able to get the like regiments out, to get the rules out, then to make the models, then to be able to print the models, then to be able to box them up and sell them. But that must be a very long process. So
there's far too much empathy. I have got no patience for that. I've just seen the word Sorcerer Kings and I want them in my cupboard now.
Yeah, that is the standard Wargamers experience. Right on the front page we've got here is the new Abomination. I think it looks pretty cool. Got some extra little tendrils coming out the front. And I think this is what Stavros was saying they always sort of wanted the Abomination to look like. But due to whatever reasons of trying to get a war game out, they can only do so much. I know there's been some problems with building Abominations as well. So I'm sure those problems have been fixed with this. But looks cool.
Yeah, well, I already have 3 of the original Abominations at home.
You hedged your bets there, didn't you?
I think some of the challenges that people have had with building the original Abominations is that they are so flexible. Everything is a ball and socket joint, so you can make it do absolutely anything that you want it to. And I've seen them built as pirouetting. I've seen them doing karate kicks through the air. I've seen them doing shoulder barges. So I think this next one is likely to be much less flexible than that. But it does look pretty impressive. And that face, I think, the original
horrifying
one had that sort of uncanny valley style, this
big eyes,
unchanging expression of a mask, and that isn't its actual face. I think they've managed to do a really good job on.
Yes, because now the face looks like he's kind of distressed, but those eyes, the way they're like pulled back further, kind of look a much more like kind of insect-like, and it's like, oh, this is just a terrifying thing. But I never want to come against in real life. Cool. We then got the city states. We got the companion cavalry and the Eparchos. I think that's how you pronounce it. Is their leader. So it's basically Alexander the Great and his companion cavalry, which is very cool. I love a bit of history, so I'm always down for this. I think stat line wise, they're light cavalry, or maybe they're medium cavalry.
They're medium.
Okay.
They are move 8, clash 2, attack 6, wounds 4, resolve 3, defense 2, evasion 1, and we've never done a stat readout before, and we shall never do it again.
I was like, we've gone so long without doing it. No, I love it. Yeah, I think they're just cool. They're quick. They're fast. They do what they're meant to do. They've got dread as well, which is cool. So it stops you getting inspired. And I'm not looking forward to coming against those at some point.
I think they look really pretty as well.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
The horses are sort of bent round. They've got
dynamic.
their spears held up in the air. I'm looking forward to seeing them on a table.
Yeah, the Eparchos, he looks really cool as well. Kind of like the horse, like kind of what do they call that when it's like on the hind legs, rearing? Yeah, exactly. Very cool. Very cool.
It looks fantastic. And you've played against City States, and I haven't.
Twice.
Were they quite a slow army? Like, do you reckon this will help fix some of that movement?
100%. No, that's a good thing you brought that up, because I think one thing I did notice is I was always running, and obviously I ran an all cavalry list, right? Which my light cavalry were movement 9, so it's just like I was getting right up into the face. But they were pretty slow, pretty comparable to Old Dominion actually. There wasn't really much they could do that could make them much quicker. I also don't think they necessarily want to play that way. Like, you don't want to chuck your hoplites up super far. You want to wait and set a line. Whereas this is cool because it allows you a bit of breakout, allows you to score some stuff early. I don't think these guys will last the battle, but I think you will get some points out of them. You'll hold your enemy back to set up your lines and castle up, and then you'll be having a much better time, I'm sure. So I think this is really cool.
Is it worth talking about the other city-states?
That's probably a good thing to just do that now. So we'll flick a bit further. So it's the city-states Scorpions.
Scorpios, yeah.
And the Scorpios, my bad. And the Flogobalon. Flogobalon.
Oh, excellent. Another unpronounceable name. Well, both of them, they've got this sort of face as a chariot with the tongue being the thing that is being drawn then by a pair of lions both times.
Oh, yeah.
With huge mounted crossbow.
That's so cool.
And what looks like a laser cannon. I mean, no, that's not what it actually is, but that is kind of...
Sam, it's the Flogobalon, all right? So stop.
So that, and it looks like a sort of new deployment of cavalry stands where we've got two as a pair. So I expect that they're going to end up lined up in a set of 6 stands rather than a set of 3.
Well, I actually think you bring them in on their own.
Oh, just one at a time?
Yeah, I saw on the sat line something. It was like, it cost 90 points. I'm like, surely not. And I realised where it says the number of stands in a minimum size regiment, it said 1. I was like, oh, that's fascinating.
Oh,
so I think they literally just run around on their own, doing a little bit of damage, but not loads, because it's only like 5 shots or 4 shots or something.
Right.
But it's like they're there to be annoying. I don't know if they also attach to a cavalry regiment, so they kind of just like plod along with them.
Oh, so they could be
how they
like the auxiliary minotaurs. They'll be able to do that alongside.
Yeah, maybe. Although it did seem you could put them in an army list on their own. They weren't like an auxiliary thing. But I don't know. But either way,
they look really pretty, and I think back to what you were saying before around sort of giving the city-states a bit more movement, a bit more flexibility.
Yeah.
I think
that's only a positive thing for them, right? Because I know they're struggling a bit at the moment. Cool. Next thing that's coming up is my favourite thing, which obviously as a 100 Kingdoms player is what I'm looking forward to, is the Sealed Temple, the Order of the Sealed Temple. So because I don't think the 100 Kingdoms had enough cavalry options, I think I was glad they finally brought these guys out. But yeah, these guys are awesome. They look really cool. I love the way they are like heavily armoured, but their horses aren't too heavily armoured. And that sort of representing their like ability to move, their flexibility and agility. So obviously these guys have the fluid formation rule, which is really nice because it just lets you do stupid stuff in the middle of a game that you didn't even think you could, and that's really fun. You can also, because of the way fluid formation works, you can like inch yourself slightly closer to an enemy regiment, so you can give yourself a couple inches on a charge.
Yeah,
because you just kind of wheel yourself, and then you're like, I'm closer to you now. And I think the main thing people are looking forward to them for is that they are a much cheaper unlock for the Ashen Dawn.
Yes.
So normally you have to pay a big tax by getting the Crimson Tower, which can be a bit hit and miss, and they're for the amount of money you're spending on them.
Yeah.
Whereas these guys are probably a lot more reliable, and I think about 20 points cheaper.
Right.
So that'll be nice for list building as well. It means you can get a few more upgrades and stuff where you need them. So yeah, very much looking forward to these guys.
Yeah, they're 30 points cheaper. How do you see them fitting into your army? Like, what do you see them doing, and how do you see them changing your list?
Yeah, so I think I'd have to figure that out. But what I would definitely do, because at the moment I can run Ashen Dawn and Crimson Tower as like a solo thing, like classic hammer and anvil, easy. Whereas if I was to run the Sealed Temple, they would be cheaper, but I definitely have to think about what, because they are definitely a bit hammery for sure, because they're impact 4 still, but they don't have any brutal impact, so it's just kind of weight of dice at that point. But what they do bring to the table is a lot of agility and movement, and sort of they're movement 8, which is actually the second fastest in the faction. So that's really nice. So that means you're getting up the table a bit quicker. You've got a better chance for charges, that sort of thing. That's really important. And I think, they'll just kind of fill in a bit of an agility gap, sort of like medium to late game. They're also medium, so they're coming on earlier. So you've got more board presence from turn 2. And I think, just being able to unlock the Ashen Dawn a bit cheaper is kind of nice. But I think I would have to bring Household Knights or Steel Legion, really, to be able to make sure I've got a serious hammer there that can do the work it needs to do.
Yeah. So do you see yourself like running one block of Household Knights and one block of this rather than like 2 Household Knights? Or
I think, honestly, I'd still stick to an MSU, because with Fluid Formation, it's just nice being able to... I guess with Fluid Formation, you kind of do what you want a bit, but it's like... I don't know. I'm looking to unlock some Ashen Dawn, so I'd bring an MSU of these guys, and if anything, I'd bring 2 MSUs of Ashen Dawn and 2 MSUs of Sealed Temple. And so obviously you're putting a lot of points in there, but for guys that are kind of as reliable as this, it's just like it's really nice.
Absolutely,
really nice. Cool. Should we go on to the main event, folks? Which is, of course, actually, was there anything else before I go on to them, or was it literally just City States 100k and then?
No.
Oh no, Sam. You got some upgrades, haven't you?
Yeah, so Spires we've got. I mean, it's very difficult to tell. I mean, there's some sort of feline mixed with lizard mixed with spires, centaur sort of thing.
It's very odd aesthetically, isn't it?
And that is entirely in keeping with
100%,
Spires armies. So yeah, it feels like it fits very naturally alongside everything else. It does look like a marksman clone bow, but just 5 times the size. So I expect that these are going to sprint around the battlefield, doing some good size 2 ranged damage.
Sorry, did we actually say the name of what they are? The Leonine Avatar?
No, I've intentionally avoided trying to pronounce.
Sure, fair enough.
Leonin, Lenin, the Lenin Avatar. These are my left leaning. So
there we go.
Yeah, I mean, so they look, anything which is size 2 and ranged has just got to be really worth having a little play with, because they work so well.
Given their name, they must have some interesting political leanings.
Yes, yeah. I'm going to change my colour scheme to red for them.
Yes, nice.
And then finally, we've got the Desolation drones, which
they look so cool.
They look absolutely horrible.
Yeah, but like in the right way.
Yeah, that is exactly what Spires should look like. So and particularly because at the moment they don't exist as actual minis, so they haven't been painted. It looks like one of those pictures of like microscopic.
Yes.
What's the name of those?
Like an electron microscope, and it's going into like dust mites.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, because of the little carapace that it's got on its back.
They literally look like fleas with guns.
They're horrible. The little like.
Yeah. I love that. Even the podcast, even the listeners are going to know what that was.
Yeah, what's the name of the Futurama Doctor? Squid. Yeah,
it's like the Ood in Doctor Who, where they've got the.
Oh, okay, yeah, something like that. I was thinking Dr. What's His Face off of Futurama. But
yeah, I know what you mean.
They look... I mean, everything about them, like the more that you look at them, the little hoofed feet, the little turkey thing they've got on their face, the weapons that they're carrying which just look like Ghostbusters or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
They look a huge amount of fun, and so I'm sure that they're going to be extremely annoying to play against, and I look forward to them as well.
Yeah, because I think they do a thing where they shoot something and then it gets -1 defense.
Oh, lovely.
So like they shoot all this acid over them. You have to be really close though. I think the range is like 12 or something like that. So it's not fantastic, but you are basically, after you've done the volley, they get -1 defense.
Right. And they've got torrential fire, which is a new, I think one of the city-states chariots have got it. But every 2 successful hits rounding up causes an additional hit.
Oh,
that's
yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Some of the Wadroon have got that as well.
Have they?
Yeah.
And deadly shot and armor piercing. I mean, these are just going to be horrible.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's just more weapons against Old Dominion. This is it. I'm just going to say that no new Nords, no new Old Dominion, and more effective stuff to use against me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just have a little cry in the corner.
That's my standard gaming experience. Right, should we get on to the main event? We got the Sorcerer Kings. We've got a few painted models. I think we've got three people who have been painted. So we've got a couple of sorcerers. We've got, it seems like just slightly different poses for them. But yeah, they look really cool. There's like a kind of like, there's a sort of Arabian Nights sort of feel to this whole thing, isn't there? That it's very much like sort of that that way influenced. Then with the scimitars and all of that stuff. And then there's like this very much sort of like magic feel, which obviously makes a lot of sense given their name. But yeah, there seems to be split between sort of wizards who do magic but also some wizards who are actually good at using a sword, and then sort of infantry units of normal people, and then you've got like these sort of conjured up beings who are, they've conjured them out of some sort of realm to fight for them, which is really cool. I think, Sam, you were saying something about them being elemental?
Well, yeah, and I've actually managed to bring up the particular piece of lore that sort of describes it, so I thought maybe I'll just quickly read this out. That fleeing the destruction of Capitas across a chain of volcanic islands they raised, they were ultimately forced to bind the last of these islands into an entire continent their burgeoning power allowed them to raise from the very seafloor. Barren and desolate, the 4 surviving Sorcerer Kings: Ermi, who moves the oceans; Dialin, pyre of gods and men; Hormus, who lays mountains low; and Alessa, weaver of winds and fates, gazed upon it and called it good. So we've got the 4 elemental powers right there in terms of water, fire, earth, and air. And
got the whole gang.
I think there's something about, whether it's in list building or supremacy abilities or something, where you can then select an element and that then brings different abilities out of your...
Sure. So maybe a bit like Wadroon, where you choose a cult to follow or whatever,
Yeah, something like that. Although I haven't looked into it in enough detail. There's something about it being more fundamental rather than with Wadroon, where you sort of activate it in the moment. It's more permanent than that, maybe. But I suppose we'll see.
So maybe there's like restrictions on what you can take based on which element you choose or whatever.
Yeah, I think so. It's when I first saw them, I kind of thought, it doesn't sit so naturally within a fantasy setting. Part of the attraction of getting into Conquest for me was that it had its own slant on it, but it also seemed relatively traditional fantasy with the sort of medieval human faction, and their spires were more like elves, and then along came the orcs, and there was something sort of Viking. So it felt like, okay, I can get to grips with this. And this is obviously drawing from quite a different tradition. And then the more that I'm looking at these models, the more I'm getting excited about sort of seeing them in the flesh. And it feels like, and this should happen, the bigger the models get, I'm looking at, some of their brutes. They look like really they will be so cool. The Windborn Djinn. I just can't wait to see them. They look like versions of the caryatids that are very appropriate in that setting, and then the monsters look
awesome,
epic.
Yeah.
They look. Oh, there's a dude with like 4 swords.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got 4 hands for 4
with
swords.
fire coming off his back like that. Is going to be a
epic,
wonderful joy to paint. So I'm
really cool.
Really looking forward to seeing these.
Yeah, I think so. There seems to be a thing about like, obviously you summon these things to fight for you, right? But there's almost like the more sort of the more value you get out of these fighters, the better they are. The more you kind of have to like, they've got a mind of their own. Right. So it seems like in some of the descriptions, I'll just describe it here. It's like, so this is for the this is for the sword dancers and the Ifrit flame casters. So these are some of the first guys. It's split into countless small enclaves scattered across a vast expanse of ruby shores. The Ifrit have escaped the fate of the Ghouls and retained their higher function. Strong, proud, and vengeful, only their fractious nature has allowed the Sorcerer Kings to bow these powerful combatants to their will. So it seems like, they sort of have their mind of their own, but the Sorcerer Kings have been able to, through their magic, to be able to sort of control them somehow.
So maybe we're going to see something along the lines of the Ferromancer sort of abilities, where we're sort of activating different buffs based on the characters that are then having those influences. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, they're really good Parabellum at sort of making the rules of their game be reflected in the lore. So like, the way the army plays is obviously the way that they work in lore.
Yeah.
And like the kind of the things they do, like the rules were designed by the lore, not by, what would be a cool army mechanic. And I think that's quite cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, you do end up with like some silly things like longbowmen having cleave 1 when they're only clash 1. So it's just like, okay. But, it's cool. They still have this stuff there. And it actually like gives each faction feels so different. Like nothing feels samey. And I'd say that like there's definitely similarities between some of the factions, but each faction has its own flavor. And like this one definitely looks like it's going to have a bunch of stuff that's nothing to do with any of the current factions and the way that they work. I think what's really exciting is that I've heard somewhere where they have like an army rule. So basically they will either all heal, or you can choose them to all be better at attacks or something like that. Maybe there's a few other things that you can do. I think that's something to do with maybe the elemental thing as well. But like they already seem like they have their own flavour beyond just like looking really cool.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see the army rules, to know a little bit how it plays.
Yes.
What its style's going to be. Yeah. And especially I think for us as well, not coming from like a kind of 40k background or other war games, like other people might have ideas, this is a bit similar to this faction from another war game. I think to us it's like all fresh and new. So we're like, how's this going to go?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's often been our fun thing of going to tournaments, is playing playing people outside of our own little meta and realizing we have no idea what we're doing against this army.
Yeah, also what's fascinating is we're definitely not the norm in terms of like communities of Conquest players, because like we were all mates before we started playing Conquest, whereas it seems like a lot of people have got into being into Conquest through like clubs. They've seen maybe a few people play and thought, that's cool to get into, or found it online. Whereas kind of Sam, you found it at first and then got me and Josh into it, and then we kind of just carried on playing pretty regularly. And I think that's been a very unique experience. Whereas I feel like a lot of people we go and speak to in LGT are like, we go along to a club to play, or maybe those are still our friends they play with, right? But it's like they will generally see a lot more different armies. Whereas, like, I feel like all of us are going to be really experienced against certain armies just because we've, like, played each other so many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to what Conquest will bring. I know we're going to see a whole bunch of Sorcerer Kings at LGT. That is for sure. In September. And I look forward to losing against them as well. Nice, cool. You guys got anything else you want to bring up for about 2024 for Conquest, or you think that's it for now?
It's probably worth mentioning the Road to Chaos.
Yes. Yep.
There will be tournaments happening around the world that are leading to people going to some beautiful Greek islands so that they can sit inside in some sweaty room and play roll dice against each other.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that pans out over the year, because people will be enthused to be running events, and so I'm sure we'll see a lot more on that side of things. And it's all happening, all the scores are being added up before we get to LGT, so maybe that's going to contribute to something else different, bigger, happening next year. We'll see.
Who knows?
So yeah, that's I'm looking forward to sort of seeing that, and I'm hoping that they're going to stream the games.
Yeah, that'd
so
be cool.
that we can sort of keep up to date with what's going on.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Get up at 3 a.m. to watch them. Watch some Germans play some French people. I don't know.
I was thinking about the ones in Greece rather than every game leading up to it. But
no, Sam, I'm watching every single one.
the Hong Kong games.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Aren't there some big rules changes coming out in a couple of months?
Yeah, so March, April is going to be a balance. And so I think that's the yin to the yang of the rules are led by the law, that they sort of get introduced and then get played, and then people go, oh, that's how it actually works in practice.
Yeah. That's what I like.
And so, I think it's good that there are these balances that come in, and they do, they're not ashamed to take things out and add new things in. And so March, April, then there'll be something new when the Sorcerer Kings are released, which will make us have to rethink lists and introduce new opportunities. So
I love it, because I think, like, we were talking about this the other day of list building, where at the moment, like, you've already got your 1,000 points or 1,500 points at the same every time, and I think when the rules change, that's when that changes. Suddenly you're like, oh, okay, all these combinations I was doing before have changed and they might not be as good, or there's new combinations to try. And I always get really excited about the rules changes. And then it feels like, I remember last year what my Nord's army looked like at 1.5 compared to 2 was radically different. And although sometimes that can be frustrating if you've just bought a bunch of models, I also think it's really fun, because otherwise it just gets a bit stagnant. And I've been playing same lists or same variations of lists for months. And
just
then
wish
it's
I could
nice.
paint as quick as the meta changes. Yeah, no, that's a great point, Josh. I don't know if it will be as big as a change as the 2.0 update was. But I think it will be more significant than previous ones. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think around the time that we were leading into 2.0, there was a lot of discussion around, this feels completely overpowered. It's impossible to play against Nords and just not know that you're going to lose right from the outset. Sure. And there are little sort of local matters where a particular faction is dominating, but it doesn't seem to be that consistent.
No, which is usually a good thing for a war game.
Yeah, so I don't think that it needs a huge rebalance. But there are some, I expect this is what Parabellum's thinking anyway, is that there are some particular units which don't particularly get used. Or there are certain officer upgrades which you just don't ever choose them. No. Unless you're doing it for a joke. I'm thinking particularly catabolic node. That is not a strategic choice to add a catabolic node in. It's a fun thing to do. Yeah. And so I think that with things like that, there probably will be going, let's make it a bit more attractive to use it. Let's tweak the rules a little bit, change some points. Yeah. So I think there'll probably be a large number of changes, but not material.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine that. My fingers are crossed about whether they'll do anything with the Fallen Divinity.
I hope they do something.
Yeah, I know last year at LGT it was about, I think it was 4 Old Dominion players, but only one brought a Fallen Divinity, and it definitely didn't seem the most competitive of the list. And I think people are like, there's a few changes to be made there to maybe help it a bit more in competitive play.
Yeah, And for such a beautiful model as well, you want it to
Yeah, for sure.
perform.
You want everyone to think really hard about leaving it at home if they're going to leave it at home. It shouldn't be an easy decision.
No.
Yeah.
I agree completely.
I also think Drum Beast needs another couple of attacks adding onto it. So
Yeah. I think Ash and Dawn should get another reroll after the blessed roll. Yeah, good stuff. Right, gents, I think that's about it. But yeah, we're looking forward to Conquest in 2024.
yeah.
This is definitely not going to be like a New Year podcast because I mean we're already halfway into January as of recording this, so this will be released at some point, but hopefully some point before 2025.
Just in case this has come out after the rules update. Gosh, I didn't see that come in.
Yeah,
Can you
well, I
believe
mean,
it?
so many different changes. I think it's been great for the game.
I'm just going to have a little one. I can't believe they've made Nords and Old Dominion both worse. Unbelievable. They've ruined everything.
Can't believe they've fully retired the spires.
Oh, guys, don't worry because there's another 10 cavalry regiments coming out of Fardrick. Good stuff. Right, we'll leave it there. Sam, why don't you tell us our email?
The email address is joshingaroundinair@gmail.com. And you can also reach us through YouTube comments and Spotify voice notes and
Do it.
carrier pigeon. Email is probably the primary version.
I mean, carrier pigeon. That would make my 2024, to be honest. Just did that. And somehow found one of our addresses. And on that lovely note, we'll say goodbye. So thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
See you later.
So that's a little
Oh, right.
jingle there.